Oh man, yeah. Oh man, here we go. Yeah. Only know that half of it, they still tell it all. The same people believe in anything they saw. I'm too busy minding minds, I can't deal with y'all. That's why I stay dolo until my name is called.
Thank you for tapping in to a new episode of the Dad Shift Podcast, hosted by me, Lawrence Brown. Today we'll be hitting on a topic that I feel isn't talked about a lot, or there just isn't enough conversation out there in regards to this issue amongst the dad community. Hopefully this podcast episode can start that, and hopefully we can start approaching certain mental situations a lot better, or just self-awareness issues a lot better than what we've been doing. So with that being said, the issue that we will be discussing today is the identity shift issue that we face when becoming dads initially and during that first year and a half of fatherhood. At least with me, this identity crisis type of issue was within my first year and a half, I would say. Going through what I feel like most new dads go through is trying to see, what are you outside of being a dad now, or adapting to the new way of life of being a dad. That transition from being someone who had all their time, had all their freedoms, doing what they want, whatever goals they set out to do it on their own time, into becoming a dad where things are or things need to be more structured. The spontaneous adventures should, kind of be exiled, and you gotta think different. You gotta make, better decisions, not just for you anymore, but for the betterment of your family, and more importantly, your kid. So that transition is not something that happens overnight or just by a snap. Like, it is something that takes time to, transform. And I feel like that's where the issue lies. I feel like we need to be, kind of aware of where we're at in the journey and things we must do to make that section of the journey more bearable during that time. So we don't, beat ourselves up, about, things we don't do anymore, things that we miss, questioning our value, questioning our worth now, that you may feel like now you're just a one-dimensional, guy, is just being a dad, or a husband or boyfriend, wherever situation you got going on. I know with me, I always see myself as a creative, and whatever needed some type of creativity eye on, whether that was music, clothing, ideas, or whatever. I always see myself as, I'm a creator. I identify myself as a creator, So tapping into that field almost every day whenever I want to eventually not tapping into it at all, was something that I never really got comfortable with. Um, and I sense that, but you sense that you got something that's missing, within who you are. Something is missing. Something is missing. And you can have a lot of good things going on, or you can just have a lot of stuff going on, but you're not fully complete because there's something missing. And for me, it was always that creativity part. Like, I always done something creative, even when the times were the roughest. At least I know I got something to do that can get my mind off of all the craziness that's going on. So when you lose something like that, and you just fully aware of every situation, and you just think about everything, you don't have an outlet to, you know, escape the craziness of the world. It's just you facing it 24/7. And then on top of that, you got to get into your responsibilities as a man, as a dad, and it's like you don't really get a break. And having that outlet always gave me that break. So, and you start thinking about like, man, nah, that was just something because I was younger, and you can. That's when you can try new things out, and you don't really understand that. Yeah, it was a hobby or endeavor, but really it was your outlet to release your stress, to recollect yourself, to escape the uncertainties of the world, to do something you fully had control of. And when you lose that and you tapped into, you know, just the responsibilities of life, I feel like that's when things start to turn for the worse. Frustrations build, stress builds, you bottle it up, something pops it and you let it all out, maybe on the wrong person, or maybe you make a crazy decision based on all of that, and it just don't mix. So I feel like we need to come up with ways to grieve our old selves, because there's nothing wrong with grieving your old self. Um, you're human. You're human. We do human things. We miss some of the things we done, some of the things we enjoyed. Sometimes you gotta let it go, and sometimes the only way to let it go is by grieving. Um, so there's nothing wrong with that. Um, but you know, let's be honest though. At the same time, let's be honest. At the same time, becoming a parent, it is a grief when becoming a parent. I'm not gonna deny that, and I know for myself. Well, for myself, I'm not going to deny that, because you are going through a crazy transition of becoming something different, right? You are trying to navigate, trying to create new, routines, and trying to get your mindset together in order to make sure you do all the correct things that you need to do. When you are a dad and the man of the family, there's just certain responsibilities that you have to equip yourself with, and sometimes you learn that on the fly or in development stages. It's frustrating because you're not going to know exactly what that is off the top. You either gonna have to seek advice, or live in your learn situations, or just go out and try to get as much knowledge as possible. But becoming a parent isn't that easy. That transition is not that easy. The freedom that you once had is no longer there. So you kind of get upset about that. The energy to chase the hobbies that you used to do is really not there anymore. And just the like I said before, the spontaneous things you do, and spontaneous things you do with your significant other, you know, all of that gets affected. So this is something real. It's something real. And the sooner we can get some attention on that, the sooner we can, you know, bypass some lost time that we might miss, trying to figure it out. So this community, this podcast will, help guide you to, or just help you, come up with a plan to start implementing, so you don't go through, that phase long, because you're gonna go through it. It's just about how you react to it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so we're gonna keep it pushing. I would say that the power of community while you're going through this is very important. You don't want to go through this journey alone. You don't want to be by yourself. You don't want to lock anybody in, even your spouse. Don't really throw this all on your spouse or your partner, but you need to find you a community where you're able to talk this out, or able to get some guidance to help you out. Because you just sit there and pretty much just drowning your sorrows is going to lead to worse things. It's a domino effect because you got to think about it like this, right? Even though things you did in the past was fun, right? But those things will always be there. Like those things will always be there. You'll always be able to go drink, go out to the club, kick it late, play the game late or whatever. Like those type of things, are always going to be there. But becoming a dad and starting a family is a blessing. Not everyone, not everyone can say that they have this or can experience it. You know what I'm saying? It's not that simple. It's not something that's handed to you. Like this is truly a blessing. So even with that, you got to start thinking about it in that light. Like, yo, I'm starting something original, right? I'm doing something great, or I have something a lot of people don't have. Like, I can always go do that, right? I can always go do that. How can I compromise? How can I still enjoy some things and make sure that my new experiences is going to be, just as good? Because right now, you closing a whole book. Your old self, you closing a whole book. Right now, you starting a new book with building a family and a foundation. This is page 1, chapter 1. It starts with you, So we got to start thinking about the possibilities and the opportunity that we see what might look like a down moment or an ugly moment. We got to start seeing the opportunity and the prize of it, while I'm sitting there questioning who I am. I'm not even thinking about the possibilities I can be or what I can develop or build. And knowing that I have that ability, I can start changing things around me to to make myself feel good, can make better of myself, and I have my family and my son in my best wishes and build something greater for the future. Like I have that ability. This is about to be a cool project. Just see what part I can play in this, what part I can bring to the table. What can me and my spouse build? How can I, develop my kid to be the best person he can be? This is about to be fun. You know what? This is not so bad after all. I am a dad. You feel me? I am a dad. Ain't nothing wrong with it for real. There's nothing wrong with it. But I can also do some things or I can also insert things that did make me feel good and escape the world when need be. And you go back and find what was it that was different outside of kicking it. To me, it was always being a creative, and I I need a creative outlet, and this podcast right here is my way. And I no lie, this is only the second episode, but I'm glad that I took that chance to start this because I needed it. I needed this give me a way to vent out and to help people and to let people know that, you know, I'm human, being vulnerable, not being shelled in. Like this helps me out. I always been a reserved guy. But why not, create something new? Why do I gotta stick to who I was? You know? There's nothing wrong with it. We can all change and evolve, man. Like you see how them caterpillars be. You see where they evolve to. They evolve to something beautiful. Why can't we can do the same thing. We can evolve into something better and greater and not, be too down because we can't do certain things we used to do. We used to do. Used to, past tense, we used to do. What we about to do is about to be something better, brighter, something more impactful. I'm leaving a legacy. You're leaving a legacy. This is something most people don't man, this is not as easy, or this is not something that's given, especially when you got the right intentions behind it. You know what I'm saying? So with the identity shift, yes, it's hard, but we can make something great of it. When there's a battle ahead of us, seek opportunity to be to like I said, to make great out of it. Man, it's pretty wild because man, I just remember being real down on myself and thinking about it now, I'm like, man, why? That's where faith plays a part. You know, you need to have strong faith. You need to put in the work, and God will handle the rest for you. Make sure your faith is in line. Make sure you got an actual plan and look at the brighter side and don't look too much in the past because all of that is for a reason. Look, we change, we develop, we evolve, and that's just the cycle of life. You know what I'm saying? So, my kings out there, my new dads out there, you're not alone in this battle, but we're not gonna lose this battle. We're gonna attack this early. We're not gonna let it sneak up on us. Not gonna have us thinking less of ourselves because at the end of the day, we are men, we are dads, we are leaders. Family needs us, kids needs us. We have to do what we have to do to make sure we are available, we are healthy, we are knowledgeable, and we are present. And it's that simple. You know, don't rely your identity to be something that can change. Don't put all your eggs in just that identity basket. You will evolve into something else. As long as you know that you can be something else whenever you want to, the identity crisis slowly starts to dissolve. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that. If you resonate with this podcast, please feel free to subscribe, comment, like. Please share this to another fellow dad out there. Listen to this podcast with your family. And please just, take in the knowledge, take in the advice, and start to implement it into your life. Because I'm telling you, the small bit of change can start a chain of reaction, and you start to do better things, start to make better decisions, start to see things differently, change your perspective. I just want to leave off this podcast saying that we all have the ability to change and evolve. We all have the ability to make decisions that's best for us. And just continue to be great. Just continue to be great. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Dad Shift Podcast. I'm Lawrence Brown. Till next time.
To the morning, just hey, yeah, praying for the day. I hope and wish I shine. Yeah, my greatest fear is really idle time. Yeah, my greatest fear is when we out of time. So I guess I gotta make it mine.